Hey guys, it's Ellie, and we're gonna do some yoga. Today's class goes out to Jane, who requested some good movements to kind of correct a little bit of the achiness in the low back and the pelvis from sitting in awkward positions working from home. So these are things that help me with that, and of course, any yoga practice you do will probably help somewhat. So let's get started. We're gonna start standing at the top of our mat. Some things that you'll want handy: a strap or a belt, something like that, and a block or something like a block as we get going through this practice. So, standing at the top of the mat. The first thing that I'd like us to do is to kind of just notice our pelvis. So, the front hip points that we think about, those are your ischial tuberosities. They're the front of your iliac crest here, and you can feel them and put your fingers on them, and then you might be able to reach your hands around the back and feel the top of your pelvis back there, or maybe just feel your low back a little bit. And then I want you to play with lifting those hip points, the ischial tuberosities, lifting them up a little bit and feeling what that does to the back body. Just kind of noticing. If you can't wrap your hands around and feel with your thumbs, you might place your hands back there. And as you lift the ischial tuberosities up, feel your low back in that movement. Great. So just a thing to play with. And then placing the hands on the hips comfortably so that you can feel that pelvis a little bit. So anywhere on the hips, just roll around a little bit, noticing the movements and how they feel in your low back. Okay. And then this next one, we're going to do a little bit of a breath practice. That always helps my low back, though that's not really its full intention in the yoga practice, but it's really saved me in kind of my early days of doing farm field work and crouching for a long periods of time. So we're going to separate the legs somewhat wide and come down with the hands on the knees. And we're going to exhale really ferociously like a lion, and you'll stick out your tongue and make your face really big as you exhale. Get all the air out of you, and then we're going to pump the belly like when you were a kid in elementary school and you would do that like sucking in motion to try to make your ribs pop out. We're going to do that with no air inside us, with a vacuum. So it looks like this, and then you can join with me on the next round, but I'm going to exhale everything. So that pumping, where we pull everything actively in, and then you just let your belly flop back. If you have no belly, it's really too bad for you. But you pull in and flop back and let that motion happen. And you might do it 3 or 4 times in your breath, and then pause and then take a breath and exhale. And we'll try that a couple times. So with me, you're inhaling comfortably, exhaling forcefully. Pumping in and out. You only do as many as feels okay, because this could make you a little bit lightheaded. Take a breath. Try it again. One more time through. Great. Hopefully you stuck with me beyond that point. We're going to go through a little series of motions. Have your strap and your block handy in reachable distance. So it's just standing at the top of the mat. Hopefully you're already there. Pressing down into the feet. Lifting the arms up. Lifting the heart up. And then notice if you could lift those ischial tuberosities up slightly again to take a little bit of the crunch out of this slight back bend. When you're ready, you'll fold forward. You can have your hands up on blocks here if the floor feels far away. And you're just going to bend one knee deeply, letting the hips shift, and then bend in the other and swinging hips side to side, just getting some motion into our back body, into the lower spine. You can move the head around. Good. And then come up halfway. Support yourself on your shins or your thighs. Try to reach the crown of the head away from your hips. Drop the shoulders down the back body. Pull the low belly in slightly to support you here. Good. And then bring a little weight into the balls of the feet. Bring the heels of the hands up to that hip bend and press back so that you have space to really reach the crown of the head away. Good. And then we're going to do the same thing again. Bend one knee slightly, press back in that hip, other hip, and straighten the leg, and then switch sides. And you can go slower here because hopefully you feel some things in the hamstrings. I know that this looks somewhat like what our sitting position is, but our goal is to try to work into the hamstrings a little bit, which are going to be shortened if you're sitting with your knees bent. Good. And then fold over, bend the knees until your chest and belly can rest on them. Let the head dangle off the end of the spine. Open and close the jaw. Shake the head yes and no. And then clasp your palms together behind your back. Palms can touch, or maybe they're separated if that's more comfortable, or maybe if you would like a little more space, tight shoulders, you grab the strap behind you and hold on to that. We're going to come up halfway. Once again, flat back. Arms are reaching down towards your tailbone. And then this time as we fold over, reach the hands any amount overhead and away from the heart. You can shake the head yes and no. I really love that in this arm position. A nice release for the neck. Come up halfway again. Switch which thumb is on top. Reach the arms first down towards your tailbone, and then fold over, reaching the arms overhead, away from the heart. Notice your feet. Could you press into your feet fully, not rolling towards the inside or towards the outside? And then release the clasp in the hands or put the strap aside. Plant your hands down, so bend your knees if you need, and step your right foot way back long behind you. Drop onto the back heel, and then find your block and just place it inside that right leg, or excuse me, inside the left leg. I'm mimicking here so I can face you, which I don't often do. So apologies if I get a little bit topsy-turvy with my lefts and rights as we go along. So on your block, anywhere that's comfortable inside that left leg, you want your left toes and knee and hip to remain in a straight line, and that's your goal. So that probably means hugging the hip in towards you. And then we're just going to straighten into that right leg somewhat, keeping the right toes down and bend into the knee. Notice the entire movement, that toes, knee, hip on that left leg all stay in line. Good. And then I'm going to plant into my feet and just stand up. Great. Think about pressing down into both feet and trying to pull them out apart. If you'd like a little more space at any time, you can always hop the feet wider so you're farther apart on the narrow length of the mat so that they can come wider towards the sides. We're going to really press actively into this back leg, so feel the ankle starting to work, and then feel the glutes start to work so that you can turn that back hip towards the front of the mat any amount. We don't have to end up pointing towards the front. We could be off to the side, whatever is comfortable. Stay super engaged through the back leg so it supports your knee back there. So strong press into the whole foot, back edge of the foot, all through the quad, through the glute. And then if it's comfortable, lift the arms as you bend into your front knee. And then bring that left hand to the left thigh. Right hand to the knee. Press into both as you twist towards the left leg. Maybe if a deeper twist is in order, you could bring the the right elbow down to the left knee. Couple of breaths here. Stay active, pressing into that back leg. On an inhale, we'll unwind. And we're going to turn those left toes towards this long side of the mat. So now we have toes parallel with each other, parallel with the short ends of the mat. And then I'm going to come down, probably to a block or something like a block. And then I'm just going to bend into one knee deeply and then the other, shifting side to side and starting to work a little bit into the groin muscles. Stretching out here. Good. And then coming to center, I want to make sure that my feet are really parallel on the outside edge. So it could be different for you if your anatomy is slightly with the toes pointing out most of the time. But if not, then make those outside edges parallel. Try to pull the mat apart with the feet and then squeeze the thighs together. And those opposite motions should feel like they're tightening up your legs. Good. And then from this space, I'm going to turn. So trying to move my belly button towards the middle of that left thigh. So trying to really turn the whole torso. I can reach down the leg and hold onto the leg. I can place a hand on the floor or an elbow down, or maybe an elbow on a block. Find a good spot to be as you're actively turning and bringing the belly and the chest towards that middle of the left leg. Let the right hip drop in as it asks to, not holding those hips square. Good. And coming to the other side, letting the left hip drop in. And then coming back to center, probably to your block. We're going to turn the toes out. So now the toes are pointing towards the long corners of the mat. And we're going to bring our elbows or our forearms into the middle of our thighs. Maybe out towards the knees, but probably more towards the middle of the thighs. And I'm going to press open here. So I'm actively pressing to open up the groin. I'm facing the floor, long in the spine. And you once again want to notice that your toes, knees, and hips on both legs this time are in the same line together. As you press open here, you can adjust your feet and stance as you need. You might like to rock slightly side to side. So now, pull that low belly in, round the spine, and try to slowly roll yourself up so you're stacking over the pelvis, keeping the feet wide, knees wide just as you were. Goddess legs right here. Sit down, lift the front of the pelvis, so those ischial tuberosities, lift them up, hands to the heart. We're going to inhale and reach the arms up, exhale, inhale, exhale the arms around to heart center. So at your own pace, inhale the arms up, exhale, inhale. On your exhale, hands come around to heart center. Sit down, open the knees wide. Once more. Good. Come down to that block. Turn the toes in once again. And this time we're just going to fold over. So you might stay on the block as you fold. You might walk your hands in. Trying to bring the top of the head facing the floor wherever you are. Actively pressing into the palms to fold a little deeper. Staying engaged through the legs, so squeezing the thighs together as you still press into the outside edge of the feet. Good. Pull the low belly in. One more breath. And then walk the hands over towards that right leg, bringing your block along as you turn the right toes towards the back of your mat and turn the left toes out about a 45. So we're coming to a second side here. So once again, notice that the right toes are in line with the knee, in line with the hip, and then straightening into that leg and bending back in. Moving through that a few times. And then standing up whenever you're ready. You're going to pull the mat apart actively here with the feet. Press into that full left foot. Feel the ankle engage. Press into the quad and then the glute so that you can turn that left hip towards the back of the mat. Bend into the right knee. Good. Lift the arms up if that's comfortable. And then the right hand comes to the right knee or right thigh. Left hand comes to the right knee, and we'll just turn towards this back leg, front leg. Oh, I told you it would be tricky today. Turn towards the front leg as you stay pressing into the back leg. Maybe you come down to your elbow on the knee. An inhale lets you unwind, finding your block as you turn the toes to be parallel once again. Good. Once again, bend into one knee and then the other. This time you might try walking the hands to the extended leg side, pausing and then walking the other way as you bend into the other knee. Good. Returning to the hands to the block or the floor right in front of your face, finding a long spine here facing the floor. We'll tuck the chin slightly, reach the crown of the head away from the hips. Let the right hand plant just underneath your face, and we're going to twist, stacking the left arm and left shoulder above the right. Press down, find wide collarbones. You can let that top hand come to the low back if you'd like. And twisting the other way whenever you're ready. Just like when we walked our belly buttons over to our thigh, you let the opposite hip drop in as it asks to when you're taking these twists. So you're not holding that pelvis totally flat here. You're letting the twist happen. Come out once you feel even on both sides. Once again, turn the toes out to point towards the corners of the mat. Press open into the thighs. Toes, knees, hips, all in the same line. Roll yourself up to stacking. Goddess pose once again. Sit down. Lift the front of the pelvis. Good. Inhale the arms up. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale the arms around to heart center. Sit down. Lift the front of the pelvis. Maybe you go through one more cycle of that. Good. And gratefully straightening the legs, turning the toes to face the front of the room. Find your strap. We're going to take the strap with our hands facing back behind us, so the palms face back behind us, pretty close together. So maybe your thumbs are touching, maybe you're slightly wider, more like shoulders width distance. And we're gonna, once again, set ourselves up from the feet first. So press into the feet, shift a little weight into the balls, and then squeeze the legs together. Pull the low belly in, and then fold over, reaching the arms overhead, actively pulling the strap apart, reaching the arms away from the heart, folding over any amount. Once again, I love shaking the head yes and no here. If that feels good for you, you might try it. You might open and close the jaw. Good. Setting the strap aside. Bending the knees slightly and coming all the way up. And stepping the feet together. So next, what I would like us to do is to either find a piece of furniture, much like this couch or a chair, or we can use the wall for this. So you're gonna get a blanket and set it up right in front of either your piece of furniture or the wall. So make sure you have a sturdy piece of furniture for this. I'm gonna have 2 blocks or 2 things that I can use to support myself on either side. And I'm gonna put my knee as close as I possibly can to where the furniture and the floor meet. So I'm starting with the right leg here, and then I'm gonna hop my left foot out in front into a lunge position and have my blocks to help support me here. And now I'm gonna set the pelvis down as close to the floor as I can. And this is quite a bit in that back quad as I rest here. I can stay low. You could come up higher if that's better. It's gonna be a little more intense through that hip opening. This is a really lovely pose to come to. It's King Arthur's pose, to open up those front hip flexors and work through the quads, which are going to be bent and shortened when you're sitting. So a lovely space to kind of let those things open and reverse what you're normally doing all day. Great. You can stay here as long as you like. This might feel really good in its intensity. Whenever you're ready, walking the blocks in, you might be able to abandon them eventually, setting the hips back towards your furniture, or this could be a full wall behind you. And if you can make it all the way with the hips back, letting the hips come inside that heel of your bent knee. Great. Lift the front of the pelvis. Feel a little bit more intensity through that quad. And then you could, if you're on a piece of furniture, you could walk your hands back, fingers point towards you. My right palm is on the sole of my right foot here, because that's where it's comfortable for me. And then I'm going to pull the shoulder blades together and lift the heart any amount, finding a camel pose through my whole torso, tucking the chin, a nice little back bend. If you're on a wall, you could reach your hands up and press into the wall slightly to extend a little bit more through that hip and find the same effect of a back bend. Good. Coming out and switching to the other side. Planting the knee in as close as you can get it to the furniture and the floor meeting, or the wall and the floor. Coming forward with the other leg into a lunge and setting the pelvis as far to the floor as we can. Bending into that front knee, moving forward. You can come up high if you like to. Should make it more intense in that back quad. When we're in a full class together, this is the time when you say, does anybody know a good joke? And the only one I can ever remember, so if you're a regular student of mine, you hear it all the time probably, is, what do you call a couple of crows? An attempted murder. So if you have your own joke, I'd love to hear it to help refresh my classes. Please let me know. When you're feeling even to your first side, which may or may not be now, course, you can always pause this video. Press the hips back. You might walk the blocks with you. You might be able to let go of the blocks completely and find some balance here. Setting the hips back towards the furniture or the wall, inside the heel if possible. Lift the front of the pelvis. And then decide if you like to take that back bend on the first side. So you might plant the hands back, fingers point towards you, shoulder blades together, heart lifts, chin I like to keep tucked. You could drop your head back. You might be there. You might be reaching up, pressing into the wall, letting hips move forward a little bit as you do. And coming out when you're even on the second side. And then we're going to take our blankets and sit up on the edge of it. And we'll extend the legs out in front, moving any of the stuff that you need to out of the way. And bend the right leg, letting the sole of the right foot come to the inside of the left leg, anywhere that is comfortable, trying to avoid the knee. We're going to turn our whole torsos so that once again, if we come down the leg, which we will, our belly button could move down the middle of that thigh. So coming forward, rounding the back into this Janu Shirshasana. You could let your nose come all the way down if you'd like. Maybe you're higher. Doesn't matter. Hold on to your leg, your foot, wherever you arrive. And try to take some deep breaths into the back body. Try to flex the quad on your extended front leg so that you can really press the leg down into the floor. Walking the hands in. We'll bring the right hand to the outside of the left leg and take a block or place your hand on the floor behind you, but I like the block for a little bit more support. Press into the back hand so that you have a post there to help you twist the spine around towards that front leg. And notice if you're getting on flopsy with the foot, stay engaged. Shoulder blades move down the back body. Feel free to let your neck be wherever is comfortable. So maybe that's looking over the shoulder, continuing the twist. Maybe that's looking towards the front of the room. Whatever is good for you. Inhale to unwind. And then plant the sole of the right foot down, bringing that heel close to your glute. You can either hug the right leg as you twist, or you could bring the tricep to the right knee and press in. Hand could be on a block or on the floor behind you, whatever is comfortable. Twisting the other way. Inhale to unwind, and we'll extend the right leg, taking the sole of the left foot inside the right leg wherever you would like. Come forward, Janu Shirshasana. So remember, turning the torso, the belly button is moving over that thigh, and then come down. Breathe deeply into the back spine. Press the right leg down into the floor actively. Walking yourself back up, and then finding our twist towards this right leg. So left hand to the outside, right hand to that block that's still behind you. Inhale to unwind. Bringing the sole of the left foot to the floor, either hugging in this leg or using the tricep against the knee, finding a twist on the second side. Inhale to unwind. Good. And we're going to move down to the floor. So coming off of the blanket or pillow you might be sitting on. Before we make our way down on our mats, we're going to have the soles of the feet to the floor, and we're going to grab the backs of the thighs. We're just going to round the spine here, giving ourselves some traction. You can find a few wiggles if you like. And then pull ourselves into a straight spine, tucking the chin. We stack up tall. Do that action a couple of times. Good. Either keeping those knees bent or extending the legs. We'll round ourselves down to the floor, trying to let one vertebra at a time press in. Coming all the way to the floor and walking the feet in so that the heels are close to your glutes. Good. We're going to come up for a bridge pose. You can choose if you want to make it supported with your block or active, pressing down into the soles of the feet, lifting up the pelvis. Maybe you walk the shoulders underneath you and clasp for the palms, or press the hands down into the floor. Keep pressing into the soles of the feet so that the back continues to arch and you're moving your heart towards your chin. If you'd like to add a little challenge, press into the right foot, extend the left leg straight out from the knee, lift the hips back up. And set that down. Press in the left foot, extend the right leg straight out from the knee. Set that foot back down. Roll yourself all the way down to the floor. Let the knees stack over the hips and bring the hands to the knees with the toes pointing, or the fingers pointing towards the toes. And then just take some big stirs of the pot, stirring your knees up, massaging out that low back. And then go the other way. Good, and then hug the right knee actively in. Try to move it towards your armpit or those side ribs on the right. Extend the left leg out and squeeze here, trying to pull the shin down towards the floor. Switching sides whenever you're ready. Good. Bringing both knees back in. And we'll drop the knees together off to one side, finding a twist. Letting the shoulders remain on the floor. Maybe you extend your arms. Maybe you gaze over that opposite hand. Inhaling the knees towards center and exhaling them off to the other side. Inhaling the knees towards center, setting the soles of the feet back down to the floor once again, close into the glutes with those heels. We'll take a slight pelvis reset. So we're going to lift the sacrum up just like we did for our bridge pose, but just hover it slightly off the ground. I think we did this in one of the earlier classes too, if you've been following along with these recordings. Try to lift those ischial tuberosities towards your low ribs, extending that tailbone down towards the knee or towards the heels. And then gently lower yourself back down, hopefully with a little more space in the low back. And we'll take that one more time. So pressing into the feet just enough to lift up the tailbone from the floor so that you could like slide your hand underneath you. And then lifting the front of the pelvis towards your low ribs, finding space in the low back, and dropping back down. Good. And then from there, just walk the feet out, letting the feet flop open. Turn the palms up, letting the shoulders come together on the back body, and the hands flop out to the sides. Letting the eyes close, and we'll rest here for a few moments in our Shavasana. Any wiggles you need are fine. Getting them out. Letting your shoulders relax and heavy into the floor. The throat is soft. Finding space between the teeth, and the tongue falls away from the roof of the mouth. The eyes sink a little more into your sockets, and the brow is smooth. Of course, feel free to stay in Shavasana as long as you would like. If you have 5 more minutes here, then take them. If you need to move on, starting small, fingers and toes, maybe ankles and wrists. Taking your time, make your way to one side or the other. Letting the knees bend, curling up into that fetal position, resting for a few moments. When you're ready to sit up, use the strength in your arms to lift you up to a comfortable seat. Bring the hands together at the heart, rubbing the palms together, building heat there, and then placing them over your eyes. Bringing the palms together with the thumbs of the third eye. Thank you so much for practicing. I hope you stay well. Namaste. See you guys later.